All right, everybody, welcome out to another episode of Windshield Time at Mountainland Supply. I'm Joey. I'm here with Brandon, our CEO.
Hey.
And Spencer, the man, Shorts.
Hey.
That's enough out of you. And today we get to be joined by Matt Scott. So, Matt, thanks for coming in.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, this is another impromptu, just gee whiz, tell us about who you are at Mountainland. My typical way of doing it is I don't like to schedule them out very far because then it gets people in their own head and they start thinking of things to say, and then it's just, then you say nothing. But so I just talked to Matt this morning, sent him a text, and he's able to swing by. So thanks for making the time.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm a windshield wiper, so
I love it.
I think it's pretty cool. Cool to come in and spend some time actually being
you're part of the process now.
Yeah.
I think we're up to 4 now.
Yeah. Our moms.
Yeah.
Oh, you got more than that. You guys, you got to take more credit than that.
No.
Come on now.
It's been fun. It's been a fun thing to do.
Our family doesn't even listen.
No, they don't. My kids, every once in a while, they run across it because it comes up in a queue, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot Dad did that." I'm like, isn't it cool? Aren't I cool? Aren't I hip? I'm hip.
Man, I make my kids listen to it while I'm riding in the truck. They're hearing what's going on.
Are these idiots?
Yeah.
I have to take that back, my comment, because I did get a text from my wife. I don't know, probably a few weeks ago. I was traveling and for business, and I got just a random text. She's like, "Hey, you did a really good job on this episode." I'm like, what did we even say? I'm like, I can't remember.
Was I nice that one? I don't remember. If
So Joey and I have talked about this, not to take up too much time, but I don't go back and listen.
No, we don't. I don't either.
Because I think it's weird.
I hate hearing my own voice.
Yeah. And
it's weird.
I because we were coming back from Boise a few months ago, and my wife wanted to listen to them, so I listened to 1 or 2, and I'm like, I can't. I was like, turn it off.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't listen to it. It's just, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing to listen to yourself. So, but anyways, so we don't listen to them. We don't edit these. We don't pre-rehearse. We don't do anything. This is how it goes. Yeah. How we have our conversations.
And that's what's awesome about it.
It's the way it should
just
be.
For me watching and being a wiper. It's
Do you watch it or listen?
Both.
Okay.
It depends on where I'm at, what I'm doing.
Sure.
Sometimes it is behind the windshield, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not.
And that's what
that.
it's meant to be.
No, you're good. You're good. That's actually one of your responsibilities. Yeah.
I love it.
Trying to be that example.
There you go.
So Matt, we just had our tenured employee dinner last night, and that's for anybody who's been here 20 years or more. And then management, we get invited there as well. But Matt is over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Mountainland? You told us a little bit last night, but I think everybody needs to hear that story.
Yeah, it's just needed a change. I was at a former employer that I was at, had probably reached where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Had been in management, and it was family owned. The future wasn't there, and there was another gentleman, Alan Riley, that had already came over to Mountainland, and he had put a bug in my ear that, hey, Mountainland's getting into ag irrigation, pivots, wheel lines, and they're looking to expand that, and you should come over and talk to them. So
Be on the ground floor.
Yeah, I got in and got to talk with Bob and meet Bob, and I mean everybody.
He's everybody's.
What do you say about the legend,
man.
right?
Yeah, he's a legend.
The guy's just he's a dude.
Yep.
So, talked to him, and I let it float for a couple of days. I really wasn't sold, but then he called me, and I was actually making a delivery out to McMullen Orchards, and just talked to Bob on the old cell phone, and he just told me, he goes, they don't care about your future. He goes, after just meeting with you for the few minutes that we did, he goes, I know you can be part of the Mountainland family. And it's interesting because he was floating that before, we really had our AS1 and everything that came down the road later. But it was just an awesome conversation I had with him, and it was easy. I went back. I made that delivery. I actually told David McMullen when I was at his place, I said, this is it for me, buddy. I'll be calling on you.
Yeah.
We're gonna call on you and switch your business to a different company. And I went back on that delivery, and sat down with Alan Long and a couple other guys, and I was really banking on Calvin Harward. Was probably the one out of the three brothers of Harward Irrigation that took to heart that I was serious about it, and he still didn't budge to do anything to try to keep me there. So
Interesting.
so made the jump and come over, and it's just been awesome ever since.
The rest is history.
I got in on that vertical of ag irrigation, building that and taking it to the next level, and having an aha moment and driving Harvard Irrigation out of the irrigation business.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yeah.
So most people don't know this, but I was actually at the competition. I was working at the same place.
Different branch.
Different branch and kind of a different vertical.
Yes.
I was on the turf irrigation and he was on the ag side. But I remember when that came down, like it was like,
Shocked the world.
Crap.
Yep.
Like Matt Scott's leaving. Like that was huge. I remember and I was a low guy on the totem pole at that time. But I just remember even knowing then at a different branch that Matt Scott's leaving. That was a pretty big deal. So, I don't know. I knew you. I didn't know him very well because you were like way higher up than I was. I was just a grunt. I was a driver, a warehouse guy, and Matt Scott was a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But just because of that whole seniority kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But you're a little bit quieter.
Yes.
And so that's a little bit more intimidating, but I mean, I love Matt Scott now. I mean, we've gotten to know each other over the years and a ton of respect for him, but that was monumental when you moved here. I have one question. Was that Grant Hansen? Was that before or after?
That was before.
Before
I had an
Hansen.
interesting conversation with Grant because we were talking pivots, and we were in the warehouse one day and I told him, I said, I gave my 2 weeks. I'm going to be out of here. And he goes, well, what are you going to sell? He goes, we got Valley, which is the best. There's Zematic and there's Moyles down south. You'll never get Zematic. T&L, Ranke, third and fourth best. That's what you're going to be selling. And I said, well, I'm willing to take that challenge and go and try something new. And fast forward, man, because we went through, we were T&L for like
2 days.
Yeah, it wasn't even a month.
Yep.
It was enough to get a book here, and then we became Zematic, and that's when the fun really began for me, was going out and trying to sell against Grant. And doing that, and then when Harvard's started financially doing what they were doing, and we got Valley, then that's when we brought Grant in, and I sat in there with Bob, and it was, I don't know, you can't ever humble Grant. I love Grant. But I would think that was probably a humbling moment when he was sitting in there, and I was.
You're the hiring manager.
I was there helping him out with that, But but that was there's a lot that went on in between us getting Valley and Zematic, and
but that kind of sealed the deal for Valley, though.
It did
with Grant
coming over.
Yeah,
he's a big piece.
They wanted his experience, and
I mean, not saying that you weren't enough,
well,
but I'm just saying that because there's a huge, people don't probably realize, there's a huge migration kind of like through the company now. I don't know how many of us there are. There's quite a few of us that are from the Sprinkle World Harvard Irrigation company that are actually here. So there's kind of the early 2000s, there's kind of a huge migration.
Yeah, there was a big, and a lot of that, I mean, early on, even after I did, I think Ralph Bench came on, and which was a huge deal for us to. And at that time, we were selling Lake movers, wheel lines, and then we
got Wade Rain.
And again, that was another thing. They said, "Oh, you'll never get it. IFA has Wade Rain. you guys, and that was another aha moment. I can't tell you how many of those moments just have progressed as we've went along and advanced in our territory, our market share of ag irrigation.
Yeah.
Well, manufacturers can see through people who are okay with the status quo, and then people who want to grow their business. And manufacturers want to be partners with people who are
They
aggressive.
do. Yeah, and Bob and Brent went up and met with Jonas and those guys up at Travis / Wadrain, because Wadrain did get bought out by them.
Yeah.
So, so I was dancing up and down when they came back and told us that we had Wade wheel lines, and the rest was history on wheel lines. We just owned that market.
Yeah.
Because we had Ralph come over, and he was a selling fool.
Oh man, he can sell a ketchup popsicle to an Eskimo.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
That
and
guy's
so-
good.
So that was good. And then even before that, we were traveling a lot out to the basin, right, and trying to get the market out there, and it was a struggle. Early on, we had Chad Devlin, and he had come over with the Hadfield irrigation
Yep.
buyout, which was mainly old inventory and
Couple people.
and a few customers.
Yep.
And so we had struggled just running out there, and that's when they pulled the trigger on doing a branch
The
out there,
Roosevelt
the
store.
Roosevelt store,
Yep.
which is awesome. I remember going out there with Dean Powell when we were in that first little
A little hut.
thing. It was a decent building, and and man, even worked with Danny Muhlstein. Him and
Yeah.
I went out there because he was on the turf irrigation side for a bit there, and
Yeah.
got that rolling out there. But just the door that having that branch opened
Oh man.
for us as Mountainland, and for that part of the vertical, I mean, everything else was already being done by outside salesmen out there. But
When did Rolly come over?
About that.
Was it about that time?
it was
Year after or
It
so.
was a few years after that.
Was
it?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Brandon Rolly.
Brandon
for,
Roy.
Yeah.
You hired him.
He worked at the competition. I brought Brandon. Well,
He worked at the same
I got-
place we
I got-
did.
it got to where it was hard to travel. Right, it was
Yeah.
hard. It's the guys that were traveling sales guys out to the basin. That's a tough thing to do every day, and we just needed
resident body.
homegrown experienced guy there, right? And Brandon had managed the branch out there, and Brandon was knowledgeable, and I brought him in, and again had him talk to Bob and Brent, and
See the vision.
the way we went, and got him in, and then that was probably a couple of years, maybe a year after him is when we got Valley, and then that's when we brought
Exploded.
Gran on as well, and we just
Took off from there.
ran wild
So-
with Valley.
So it's your history with that, the growth of that vertical is just, it's awesome to dive into it. And I remember you helping me on the counter of Harwood Irrigation when I worked on our farm.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one day you were freaking gone, and I'm like, well, where'd he go? And that's what brought us to Mountainland to even look was you being here. But today you are over facilities, fleet. You also are involved in power equipment. So what are your responsibilities today, and what kind of drew you to want to do what you're doing today?
Today is, so I've done both sales side and operations side, right, for the company for the last 20 years, and I love the operations side, and I loved it was a new challenge, right, to go and oversee the power equipment and work with Brian Nuttall and his group of guys. They're
Studs.
just a bunch of dudes over there too,
Studs.
knocking it out of the park. And then the truck outfitters with Martin and Rich, and that's been a growing challenge for me,
studs.
just to learn. And they're good dudes. Paul down at his shop, Jared over there at the
Fab
shop, and
Randy doing service
and all that combined. It's just it was a peak of interest to do something a little bit different, right? It's still managing people. You're still,
but it's so diverse.
It is, and that's the thing. I mean,
it's a fun challenge.
You know, you can go sell a pivot to a farmer, and then on the ag side selling it's a different challenge every day too. But you're selling the same stuff,
right?
And what I do now, and dealing with fleet, you know, and working with Russell, and there's another dude that has taken over and
Calvin and
Perry. Owned it, and yeah, and the construction side, it's awesome.
You got some awesome people in your department, by the way.
Yeah,
and I think it's a reflection of you as well. I mean, one of the great things about Matt Scott is I think you're a great example of the leadership that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've dealt with you in, I mean, many roles that you've had, just from the finance side, and we've known each other for, man, is it 30 years? Close to 30 years, 25, 30 years.
I've been in the industry, if you count the time at Harvard's, for 28 years.
Yeah, I think the first time I met him was probably about 25 years ago. Anyway, it's just a ton of respect, because what I love about Matt Scott is he is the benchmark for calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, chaos can be raining around you.
Oh, yeah.
And you can look to Matt Scott, and he's going to be cool and calm, and he's going to know what to do and how to do it and go about doing it.
Yep.
And I've seen people that are able to look to you and see that, the calmness, and settle down and say, okay, he's got it. Let's go, you know, and let's follow him. And so I love that. I love that about Matt Scott, that he is just a great example of the leadership that we have here. You bring a ton of experience, ton of knowledge, but just that calmness to the chaos is sometimes we need that. A lot of the time we need that, because we can create a lot of chaos sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Internally. And Matt has always just been just even keel, just methodical. Let's think about it. Let's understand it before we move. And I've really admired that about you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better, man. You're a true servant leader.
Yeah, it's well, and it's good it's fun when you got good people around you, and you know, we're all striving for the same goal. We all want our company to succeed and do good, and it just takes that. I mean, you be on the counter, you know, and it's May, and I don't know how deep you have customers, and you just work through it, right? You
take them one at a time, one bite at a time.
Yeah, and that's and you'll get that mad customer or whatever, you know, and you've worked through it. Yeah, and that's the same way with us and fleet and trucks, and you know, we might have a branch that does something self-inflicted, and we're here to fix it and make it better, right?
I think that's the best description. Self-inflicted. Yeah. I like how you
that's the thing that, like, that's the skill that you've had forever that translates to anything you do. I think is just that problem solving and your ability to make and maintain relationships. You know, that's why people followed you in your sales career. That's why people listen to you and respect you, and everything you do is that you just want to solve their problems with them.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to when we first come over and we were developing, and you know, one of the aha moments I had, I was doing design.
Hold on, is this your welcome to Mountainland moment right here?
This is a welcome to Mountainland moment.
I had several of them because we were taking business away from the other guy, you know, and I don't think Calvin Harvard really thought that we would get into the orchard guys. Yeah. And I started doing design work, and because that was the only way in, right?
Oh yeah.
Calvin was designing it, their systems, and then they would just buy it because
it was already
he did the design. Well, I offered another option for him, you know, another design, and when I started pulling the big boys, Cherry Hill Farms and Southridge Farms, and pulling them from there, and they were buying all the drip and stuff from us, mainline, and that was awesome too.
It gets me pumped up even thinking about it. I love it and stuff like that.
Like, good night. I want to go do something
I
right
know.
now.
You know, and I even go back to before Grant came on and Brandon Rowley, I was helping him. That's when I was doing sales management, and we sold some pivots to a dairy guy out there and just east of Duchesne. And the customer called us back because he agreed. He's buying the machines from Mountainland, and there was Matics, and he had been a Valley guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Grant had come out to see him and went out to him in the field and just started, and this is the customer's words,
Getting after
he
him.
was doing a dance. He was just bouncing. Well, you can't, they're not doing this. They're selling you something cheap here, you know? And
Yeah.
that's another aha moment, man, because that was awesome.
And you were calm through the whole thing, dude.
Yeah, it was good. You just pat yourself on the back and go to the next one, you know, when you're doing those things. And it's the same way within our branches, you know. I mean, to be honest with you, I think my aha moment of all the roles I've played in Mountainland is seeing new blood come up through, you know. There's some dudes that I sit across from Devin Hansen in meetings, you know.
Yeah.
And Devin started out in the ag side with us, you know.
Yeah.
And I think of Thane Catmull, the JD Ferry, all these dudes that are
Making big differences in our company.
that are helping our company right now, and
Yeah.
they were young and stayed after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part I like to see is, you know, you talk about my personality and that I hopefully I've influenced our guys in a good way and I think I know I have, because they've stayed, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They've stayed and they're grown up through the company, and I hope for everybody out there, you know, there's inspiration. You can put your nose to the grindstone, and you can work and make your way through Mountainland into various positions.
I think being able, just
it.
your description that you had right there of like sitting across the table from Devin Hansen, from a guy that used to work for you here
Yeah.
at MLAG, right?
Right.
And to be able to do that, that's probably like the biggest compliment as a leader.
Yeah.
There's some people that say that they're leaders, but they're really not leaders. They're managers, and they want to keep those people below them.
Yeah, keep their thumb on them.
A true leader is saying, hey, I want you to be able to maximize your potential that you have.
Yeah.
I want you to be better than me.
Exactly. And you're okay with that as a leader. And so to be able to, I mean, that's the biggest compliment and you just named a whole slew of people
Yeah.
that are rising up, and they're making a huge impact on our business, but they came here as, you know, warehouse guys.
Right. Wheel builders. JD, wheel
Wheel
builder.
builder.
Thane was a wheel
Working
builder.
with you.
Getting
You
paid
know,
piece rate on
yeah.
wheels.
Yeah. That's an easy way to tell if you got somebody that's going to be really good, is if they can build wheels and stay after that for, you know,
8 hours a day.
for a few months, you know, they'll be a great employee.
Yeah.
So, but even the guys I work with now, you know, I look at Russell and his role and how he stepped into it, and it's taken it to another level.
Yeah.
Um,
We got some good ones, man.
yeah.
That's another one we probably should bring on. Russ. Oh, man, that
Yeah,
guy.
We'll bring him on.
Yeah, he's a good one.
We'll have to change our lenses to some
Yeah.
wide angle lenses
Yeah,
for his
he's
freaking
a
chop.
monster.
And just
Gosh,
don't put me
freaking
by him,
guys.
because then I'll look.
Oh yeah, everybody looks.
Actually, no, put me by him, then I'll look small.
everybody.
I won't
looks,
look I won't look fat.
Everybody looks tiny
So,
compared to Russ and
I
his
know.
arms.
Yes, and I mean I love the position I'm in now, and the different aspects that I get to deal with. Just a different challenge, and it's been good. I hope everybody can see a difference in some of that I've been doing the last few months with those guys. And
You've
know.
turned a service into a true service department. I mean, I think people feel like that is a department is trying to help their business be better,
Yeah.
even at Mountainland. So
yeah. And
for
speaking of
what you've done.
service, you know, I get back to Dell Bear, and you know, him and he came on a month after me, and just we always seem to find each other again. We get separated and come back, but But
like an old penny.
Dell's he's got an awesome group of guys too. Some dudes in there that'll be helping Mountainland in the future down the road, and who knows what position.
Yeah. So shorts, Matt Scott, nose to the grindstone. What's you calling that one?
Nose to the grindstone.
There we go.
Got
I
it.
like it.
Okay, Matt, thanks for spending some time with us, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having
all
me
you
in.
do.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Love you guys.
Love you too,
Likewise.
buddy. And thanks for spending some windshield time with us, guys. See you down the road.
Have a good one.